The girl was about to marry into a wealthy family, becoming the high society wife everyone envied. But just one day before the wedding, she spotted her first love, missing for 7 years, in the newspaper, and the headline left her completely in shock. She fainted right on the spot, because the white estate in the photo was the very dream house he had promised to build her. She never imagined he would actually keep that promise. In that moment, all reason crumbled. She drove frantically, risking it all, just to find the answer buried deep in her heart, until that house appeared right before her eyes. The white walls, the blue shutters, almost every single detail was designed exactly according to her vision. It turned out he had never forgotten, but the joy of reunion was instantly extinguished. His eyes held only strangeness and distance. She babbled incoherently, while he remained completely silent. But then, her car refused to start. Just when she was at her most flustered, he suddenly walked over. The moment the door closed, a story sealed for 7 years was finally reopened. Time rewinds to a carnival in the summer of 1940. Noah fell in love at first sight with Allie, who was vacationing in the country. As she passed by, he plucked up the courage to hit on her. Allie's ruthless rejection didn't deter him. Instead, it ignited his competitive spirit. Watching Allie and her friend board the Ferris wheel, Noah jumped onto their seat the moment it lifted off. Ignoring the scolding from the crowd, he forced his way right between them. To stop his madness, the operator made an emergency stop, but Noah just hung one-handed from the bar outside. Allie was terrified by the stunt. Having gotten his way, Noah grinned, but Allie's revenge came fast and hard. She yanked his pants down in public, leaving him humiliated under the gaze of the whole crowd. Ha 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 ha. The meeting of two crazy souls, bound together for a lifetime. The next day, Noah blocked her path on the road, demanding she fulfill her promise to go out with him. Allie raised a brow, feigning indifference, but Noah wouldn't let up. His work clothes were grimy and covered in sawdust, but his eyes held an undeniable sincerity that actually charmed Allie, who was used to empty flattery. Their friends saw exactly what was happening, so they used a movie night as an excuse to set them up. In the darkness of the theater, surrounded by couples getting cozy, Noah's eyes were filled with longing, yet he remained respectful and restrained. That restraint made Allie finally let her guard down. As they walked home, she finally opened up. Even though her family was wealthy, she felt like she was living like a puppet. Her days were packed with endless lessons, and even seeing a movie was a rare luxury. Every step of her life was planned out by her parents. Noah's response struck a chord deep in her heart. The next moment, Noah did something that stopped her in her tracks. He lay down right in the middle of the street, just watching the traffic light change color. He asked Allie to join him. After hesitating for 3 seconds, Allie lay down next to him on a dare. Suddenly, the world went quiet, leaving only the sound of their heartbeat. But just then, a truck horn blared out of nowhere. They scrambled to the side of the road, looking at each other and laughing until they cried. Noah took her hand again, led her back to the middle of the street, and humming a slightly off-key tune, they began a romantic waltz. It turns out, true love isn't about status or background. It's about finding someone willing to break the rules with you, someone who will be crazy with you, and in a life filled with pressure, tear open a path to freedom, helping you find your smile again. That romantic moment in the street, who wouldn't fall for that? From that night on, they fell deeply in love. Allie was no longer that untouchable rich girl. She'd wear her sundress, waiting at the lumberyard gate for Noah to get off work. They rode bikes with friends down country lane, and ate ice cream on the street without a care in the world, laughing like a couple of kids. Allie even stepped into Noah's humble home, listening to his father tell stories, and staying for breakfast, even though he didn't have 2 cents to rub together, and they came from completely different worlds. In love, none of that mattered. Down by the ocean, Allie looked up at the sky and said that this was the only way she could truly escape the life mapped out for her. With Noah's encouragement, she learned to drive, to tap dance, and even braid the rope swing she was too scared to try. They fought every day, but they always made up right after. Being crazy about each other was the one thing they had in common. But reality has a way of hitting you when you least expect it. When Allie got home late one night, her father was waiting at the door. The tension was instant. Her father demanded to meet Noah, inviting him over for dinner that weekend. What seemed like a peaceful dinner was actually a trap. The guests were all wearing pristine white, while Noah was the only one in a faded, black t-shirt, sticking out like a sore thumb. It wasn't just a contrast in clothes. It was a head-on collision of two social classes. A guest asked Noah what he did for a living. Noah tried to answer with dignity, but to these wealthy people, his 40 cents an hour was just a joke, and a single remark from Allie's mother shattered the illusion instantly. In that moment, the light in Noah's eyes seemed to fade. But love is blind, and it made them ignore the class divide outside for a while. They splashed and laughed in the lake, as if their love could conquer the world. But watching from the shore, her parents stared at them like predators watching prey. This wasn't just a condemnation of their action, was a death sentence for their love. That night, Noah took Allie to the old Windsor plantation, where they dreamed up their future home. They held each other tight. In that moment, class and wealth ceased to exist. But just as they were lost in their fantasy, Noah's friend burst in, gasping for air. It turned out, Allie's parents couldn't find her, and were losing their mind. They had even called out the whole town's police. At 2 a.m., Allie returned home. To face her parents' interrogation, Noah heard every word clearly from the living room. Then came the stinging insult. Allie fought back hysterically. When it was over, she rushed out to find Noah, but instead of a look of resolve, she saw him backing away. Because he was poor, because of his insecurity, because he felt he couldn't give her a future. When Allie begged him to go to New York with her, he couldn't give her an answer. In that moment, Allie panicked. She thought she was being abandoned. To protect her last shred of dignity, she said the cruelest things she could. But watching Noah actually walk away, she broke down in tears. Watching this is a real wake-up call. Regarding the breakup, who do you think is more to blame? Is it Noah's insecurity and withdrawal, the parents' overbearing pressure, or young, headstrong Allie who didn't know how to communicate? When Allie woke up, her whole world had changed. Her parents had already packed, ending the vacation early to head home. Allie fought them with all her might, but her mother was terrifyingly unyielding. Allie refused to give up. She ran to the lumber yard to find Noah, wanting to explain that she didn't mean what she said. But fate played a cruel joke. Noah happened to be out on a delivery. His friend tried to comfort her, and just like that, Allie left town with a heavy heart. When Noah found out she had been there, he raced to her house in a frenzy, only to find an empty house and gates chained shut. That summer, they had loved with reckless abandon, but it ended in total ruin. Noah sank into despair. Starting the day after she left, he wrote her a letter every single day. He did this for a whole year, 365 letters, each filled with his longing and regret. But he didn't know that every single one of them was intercepted and hidden by Allie's mother. A year went by. Hearing nothing back, Noah believed Allie had truly let him go. He wrote one final farewell letter. Then, with a broken heart, he headed to Atlanta with his friend. But fate wasn't done with him yet. Then the war broke out. Noah enlisted and was deployed to North Africa. During a brutal attack, his best friend Finn died, saving his life. In that moment, Noah's world came crashing down. His love had been cut short, and his friendship torn apart by war. Fate seemed so damn cruel. Meanwhile, Allie had volunteered to become a nurse. As she tended to the wounded soldiers, she couldn't help but wonder if Noah was out there bleeding on a battlefield too. Until she met Lon, a handsome and wealthy officer. His charm helped her move on, but for a moment, he reminded her of that carnival years ago, and that reckless boy she once loved. 3 months later, a recovered Lon, looking sharp in his uniform, was waiting for her on campus. He had a spirit that reminded her of the past, and Allie began to fall for him. Lon came from a prominent family, was charming, mature, and a decorated war hero. He was everything her parents ever wanted, the perfect catch in everyone's eyes. When he pulled out the ring, she said yes without hesitation, but the moment the ring slid onto her finger, all she could see was Noah's face. Soon after, Noah returned from the war. His father knew his heart was set on the old plantation house, so he quietly sold their home and handed the check to his son. With the money in hand, Noah headed to town to buy supplies, full of hope. But then he spotted a familiar face in the crowd. Ignoring the traffic, he jumped off the bus and chased after her. But what he saw shattered his heart. Allie was kissing Lon in a restaurant. Her smile was painfully sweet to watch. He stood there, feeling like a hollow shell, without even the courage to confront them. He could only turn and walk away. The heartbreak drove Noah into a frenzy. He began working day and night to rebuild the house. Some said he was fighting for love, but deep down, he knew the truth. It was the only thing holding him together. He clung to the belief that if he restored the house just like he promised, Allie would come back to him. But just as the house was finished, his father passed away. Staring at the empty estate, Noah drank himself into oblivion. He even thought about burning it all down. Without Allie, the house was just a pile of cold wood. It meant nothing, but in the end, he couldn't let it go. So he put the house up for sale. Yet he sabotaged every potential sale. He'd claimed the offers were too low, or that they didn't appreciate the house. Even when the price was far beyond his expectation, he would find a reason to chase them off. He said he wanted to start a new life, but his heart was waiting for one person, waiting for the woman who truly belonged there. Until one day, right before her wedding, Allie saw the house in the newspaper, that she realized Noah was still alive. Out of respect, she told Lon about her trip. He thought it was just pre-wedding jitters, and trusted her without hesitation. So Allie drove back to the small town, leading to the reunion we saw at the start. On the day of their reunion, they both pretended to be composed, but after a few glasses of wine, memories came flooding back. Noah read aloud from an old book, and Allie asked him with teary eyes. When she left, Noah's voice trembled. He stayed up all night, holding on to this rekindled flame, terrified reality would snuff it out again. In the morning light, Noah took Allie rowing to the center of the lake. Allie happily fed the swans, while Noah sat nearby, gazing at her lovingly. He cherished the moment too much, and was too afraid to lose it. Allie turned away, daring not to meet his eyes. Suddenly, thunder roared, and rain poured down. Her frantic attempt to shield herself made him laugh. In that locked gaze, nothing could be hidden anymore. Back on the shore, Allie turned to leave. Just as Noah docked the boat, Allie turned back to demand answers. In the rain, 7 years of misunderstandings were washed away. The love buried deep in their hearts was reignited. Some people are destined to meet again. The next morning, Allie woke to flowers and a note by her pillow. Follow the arrows. She followed the signs to a surprise in the studio. Over the years, Allie had almost forgotten her passion for painting, but Noah still remembered. He hoped she would be brave enough to be herself, and no longer be bound by anyone else. But the warmth had barely settled. When her mother showed up at the door, Allie couldn't help but confront her. But her mother remained unusually calm. She told Allie to get dressed, saying she wanted to take her for a drive. Her mother took her to a dusty construction site, pointing at a grimy man in the distance. Allie looked at her mother in shock. The woman who was always so elegant and poised now had tears shimmering in her eyes. She had brought Allie here to show her the harsh reality of life. If she chose Noah, this is what her future might look like. But her mother's tears betrayed her true feeling. She didn't want Allie to end up like her, living a secure life while holding on to a dream that could never be. In the end, her mother handed over the 365 letters, hoping she would make the right choice. Looking at the letters that were 7 years late, Allie was torn. On one side was the true love who waited 7 years. On the other, the fiancé she was about to marry. Despite Noah's desperate pleas, Allie chose to run away. She drove off in tears and nearly crashed when her mind wandered. That scare finally gave her the courage to open the farewell letter. In it, Noah wrote, "In that moment, Allie realized love isn't about settling. It isn't about weighing the pros and cons, but about the person who sets your soul on fire." That letter was the reason she had to go back. She went to Lon and confessed everything, though Lon was heartbroken. He showed her one last act of kindness. His words were both a plea to stay and a final way of letting go. In the end, Allie called off the engagement. She packed her bags and rushed back to the estate. But this time, no parents stood in her way. There were no class differences, just two hearts desperate to be together. From a wild, youthful romance to a long-awaited reunion, from deep misunderstandings to a steadfast commitment, Allie proved with her actions that true love is worth crossing mountains and seas, and worth giving up everything for. The man who waited for her in the pouring rain finally got his girl back, and just like that, they spent decades weathering life's storms together. They raised a large, happy family, living a life full of joy. But time is cruel. Allie developed dementia. She forgot the world around her, forgot her children, and even forgot Noah. But Noah never left her side. He moved into the nursing home, staying by her side every step of the way. He treated that yellowing notebook holding their love story like a priceless treasure. He read it to her, over and over again, even when she showed no reaction. He was like a loyal knight, guarding his aging princess. In those rare, brief moments of clarity, Allie would suddenly recognize him, bathed in the soft light of the room, as if back in that summer of romance. They would dance together, until the very last night of their lives. A miracle truly happened. After hearing the end of the story, Allie suddenly opened her eyes, her gaze crystal clear. She looked at Noah, and with her last ounce of strength, she spoke lovingly. They held hands tightly, said goodnight to each other, and drifted into eternity together. The next morning, the nurse opened the door, and found a scene she would never forget. The couple, fingers intertwined, with peaceful smiles on their faces, had quietly left this world. This film isn't just a love story, it is a profound definition of love. What is true love? It's Noah's reckless leap onto the Ferris wheel. It's the wild abandon in the middle of the street. It's the devotion of 365 letters. It's the courage to break through class barriers. It's the unwavering reunion after the truth was revealed. And above all, the steadfast companionship through sickness. In this age of fleeting romances, we are often defeated by materialism, distance, and reality. We weigh the costs in love, afraid of getting hurt. But Noah and Allie proved with their lives that true love is never smooth sailing. It takes courage, perseverance, forgiveness, and trust. Love isn't just a fleeting spark, but a lifetime of companionship. It's not about grand, dramatic vows, but a steady, quiet devotion. May we all find someone willing to go crazy for us, someone to weather the storms with us, and spend a lifetime by our side. May we all believe in love, and dare to love, for it truly creates miracles. If you were also moved by this lifelong romance, remember to like and save. Share this with the one you want to spend your life with, and follow me. I'll bring you more touching stories in the next episode.